So we can take in a little Parsha Shavua. It's Parsha's Re'eh. Very exciting times doing the Parsha. This week's Parsha is Re'eh, and Re'eh means to see. Take a look. Last week's Parsha was Aish, Akev Tishmu'un, to listen. So we had hearing, and now we have Re'eh. I'm actually up here in Tiberias and having a great time. It's between Mincha and Mariv. I've been having lots of fun up here, and it's been super relaxing, super holy, and thank God plenty of exercise as well. So I think get in great shape on this trip. So Re'eh, see, God shows bracha and klala. There's going to be bracha and klala. Bracha is going to be read on the mountain called Har Grizim. And then the klala is a har called Avel. Rashi brings that up, and then we got a Zohar. Zohar says like this. There's a Zohar in Vayishlach that on this pasuk, Rabbi Yehuda Pasak va'amar. Rabbi Yehuda said, "Ki yesharim darkei Hashem v'tzadikim yelchu bam," because God's ways are straight, and the tzaddikim, the holy people, they go in those ways. They go in the ways of Hashem. So Hashem's ways are straight, and the tzaddikim go in His ways. What's that mean? Kol darkei HaKadosh Baruch Hu kulam yesharim v'darach havemes. That all the ways of Hashem are straight and they're true. And the people of the world, they don't know, and they don't even contemplate. Like, they're not even thinking about. They're not even thinking about. It's interesting. It says here mahem kayomim, what they are doing, meaning what's getting done, what they're doing, or but it also can mean what is keeping them alive. Ki rak al chosodov he miskayimim ba'olam, because it's only on God's kindness that they are being sustained in this world. It's only on God's kindness. V'al kain tzaddikim yelchu bam, and therefore the tzaddikim they go in God's ways. Lefi she'em yoidim, they know es darchav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu va'oska b'Torah. They know God's ways, and therefore they're learning Torah. They're learning the Torah. What's Torah? Torah is instructions. They're learning the instructions of creation. Before they go do something, they first say, well, what's Torah say? Find out what the Torah says, then go do it. That anyone who is involved in Torah and goes and walks in her ways, and he doesn't go left or right of it, he stays right down the center, right there, according to the instructions of Torah. You just stick with those instructions, and you're right on the point. Yeah, and an interesting line, it says, there's a pasuk that says that the transgressors, they will fall in them, yikash luvam. They will wind up stumbling in them. So what does it mean they'll stumble in them? That's an interesting question, what it means they'll stumble in them. Those are the evil that are not busy with learning Torah, and they're not contemplating the ways of God. And they don't know where these paths are going, meaning they're like spitting into the wind in the wrong direction, meaning they're just shooting arrows and hoping they hit something. They don't realize what they're doing. And I guess the way to explain that is that in the end, we're all going to be gathered up. The way I like to say it in my classes at Aish Torah is that we're all born with a hook in our mouth. And, when you're fishing and you catch a big one, what we call a whopper in my family, and you catch a big one with a beer in your hand, what happens is the fish goes, you don't try to pull it in because it'll break the line. Rather, you let the fish run. And the fishing reels have a gear, and the gear releases line, and lets out line, and lets out line, and lets out line. And the fish goes and goes and goes until it gets tired. You start to feel he's not pulling as hard until finally he gives up and you reel him in. So we're all born with a hook in our mouth. And what he's basically saying is people who don't know the ways of God are basically going very far from that path. And which is a shame because they're ultimately they're not contemplating where we're going in the end. Like they're not thinking about where we wind up when all is said and done, because these are the kind of things you want to think about. And the reason we want to think about them is that this world isn't even real. This is a simulation. We're all inside this simulation. If you know any physics, you know any Kabbalah, this is all a simulation. So if the master of the universe has given instructions to how to operate in the simulation, well, by all means, man, that's the way. You don't want to mess with that. And I know there are people who doubt that, that's the way, which I understand. They're like, that ain't the way. And, then other people are like, that's the way, So the people who say that is the way, so those people are saying it's ultimately a simulation. And so that's what it's all about. It's very interesting that people who were raised observant are the great-grandchildren of people during the Depression. Meaning, I don't mean the Depression people deal with today. I'm talking about the Great Depression of the U.S., when people had to work on Shabbos to support their families. So the people who were raised observant were children of people who were observant. So their great-grandparents in the Depression, if they're in America before the war, basically said, this is a simulation. So even though it looks like I got to feed my kids and it looks like I should be working on Shabbos, I'm sticking with the master of the universe. I'm not breaking Shabbos for nothing. If I have to get a new job every Monday, I'll go search for a job every Monday, but I'm not breaking Shabbos. And that's the seeing the world as a simulation. That's the tzaddikim. The tzaddikim see the world as a simulation. And while the other ones were what you call practical, which is not practical. Because if there's really a God, then it's not practical to think that not keeping Shabbos is going to be helpful at all in your life. It's not going to help. And you may have more food on the table. You may be able to build a bigger synagogue or something and drive to it. But in the end, your kids will wash down the river of assimilation, and you will have nothing in the end. You'll have the American dream, but in the end, as we realize today, it's the American nightmare. Nobody wants the American nightmare. And so what does it mean that they will fall in them? The Rishonim that aren't doing Torah, when they don't even contemplate the ways of Hashem, they don't know where these paths are going. Meaning they're not thinking about the fact that we're in this simulation, that we're going to be gathered in. God's going to reel us in. And since they're not contemplating this and they're not going in the ways of Torah, so they're going to wind up taking the wrong path in this world, and they're going to wind up in the wrong path in the next world. Because don't forget, just because you don't think there's a next world doesn't mean there's no next world. So they still wind up in the next world, and then they're dealing with the next world. But the problem is the paths of the next world are the same paths of this world. Meaning the paths of truth, the paths of Torah, the paths are eternal. There are paths that are dug in throughout all the worlds. And those paths come all the way down to this world. And ultimately, the paths we walk in this world are the paths in that world. So if you wind up in that world, you don't have a GPS position. You don't even know what you're doing over there because you didn't walk the paths in this world. So this world is where the paths are. This world's the place where you get to know the paths, so that when you get to the next world, you know where in the world you're going. You know what you're doing. So that's what it's saying. That because they blow it here, they're going to blow it there. Meaning people who are blowing it here, they're not involved in Torah and learning the paths of how to walk in this world, aren't going to know where to go in the next world. So Boire, says the Zohar, come and see. Anyone who's involved in Torah, when he leaves this world, that's in Baruch Shekavanti. It says that he'll be going in the paths of Torah in the next world. You do him, and we know the ways of Torah because the Torah is revealed to us. We have it. We have it revealed to us. He'll go with them in the next world. When he leaves this world, if God forbid they're not busy in Torah, they don't know the paths. They're going to wind up getting confused and stumbling in those ways. They're going to wind up going in other ways. Just like in this world they went in other ways, so too in the next world they're going to go in other ways. They're not the ways of Torah. Aleim kamadinim v'yan shuvem. And I'm not translating that part, but it ain't pretty. Yeah, so if you're watching this live, those who understand those words, understand those words. If you don't understand the words, v'yoru aleim kamadinim v'yan shuvem, if you don't know what that means, I'm not telling you. Anyway, we're about to start Mariv in the shul, so you can say hi to my one student in the room. Yitzi Israel, say hi. The famous Yitzi Israel on vacation with the Glazers. And then a bunch of other holy Yidden in this local synagogue here. And we're going to start davening right now. So get ready. Maybe you'll hear a little Baruch Hu or something. We'll let you hear Baruch Hu. We're in the Chabad house here in, where are we? In Migdal, right near Tveria. So here we go. You can hear Kaddish and Baruch Hu. Keep up the great work and good Chodesh coming up to the live webinar. Go online and check it out. RabbiYomTov.com. Amen. Amen. Yesh me'rabam le'alam le'me'amayo yisborach. Amen. Amen. Huach u'mi'apavam le'eshchiz v'abal le'shiva pavliya korchomasa Adonai Shem Elokeinu Melech